Well, hello people. Today, I'm going to show you how to create REST API using Nodejs. So this is the first video that I will cover to create fetch data user and authentication user. In this video related to another tutorial on how to create e-commerce app using Flutter, because we will use this API for that app. You can also check Flutter tutorial for more detail in video description. Okay, before we start it, let's take a look what packages that we need to install here. Firstly, of course, we need an Express package. This is a framework web application in Node.js module, and also we have the need course. This kind of middleware that can be used to enable course with various options. And also we need to bcrypt this package for encrypt and make safely a password. And next, we need to have PG. This is Postgresql client for Node.js to connect our application to Postgresql database. And the next is Sequelize package. This is object relation mapping package. We use this for mapping our table from database become object classes and for simplify that query. If you are familiar with ORM package in other languages such as Eloquent in Laravel, Entity Framework or LinQ in C#, so you can easily understand how to operate them. And there is also a Sequelize CLI. This is additional package in Sequelize to generate database migration, and those packages that we need to install for our project here. To simplify install all packages, you can just running by single command like this. And when we talk about project, of course, we need to use pattern to easy maintain our code. So here we will try to implement MVC pattern that commonly used in popular web programming. As you know, MVC stands for Model View Controller. This will spreading the content of our code. Our database will represent in model object. So every table in database will transform to object class, and controller, this will be concerned to our logic or function in project. We will call model in this controller to running some operations such as CRUD. And the last is view or client. Controller will communicate with view or client when there is a request from view or client, so controller will handle that request and return the response to client or view. But in this project, we will not use view because we don't need use user interface here. So this is pattern that we will use here to make more clean code and easy to maintain. So without any further ado, let's get started. Let's install our package in terminal. Make sure you have internet connection because package will be downloaded through internet connection. Just wait until process download complete. Once you're done, let's do bootstrapping project to initiate database migration. You can see in your project, now we have several folders like config, migration, models, and seeders. In config folder, there is a default file JSON format that created. In here, we need to set our configuration to connect Postgres database, set username, password, database name, host, and also port number. Don't forget change dialect to Postgres because we don't need use MySQL database anymore in here. If you have done set connection, now let's generate model as representation our table. This is what I love from Sequelize. We can easily create table model by command. If you already work with Laravel, you can familiar with this command. Give column name after attribute and type data, and give model name before name attribute and hit enter. Now you can see there is two files generated by that command inside migration and models folder. By default, in folder model there is index file. This is the default source from Sequelize to detect all model that we created. And file in migration folder will be used for create table when we migrate to Postgres database server. And there are two columns created at and updated at as default from table. Okay, perfect. Now let's do migration. Okay, let's go to the terminal and then type db migrate to run the migration. And let's see what the result that we get here. We got an error. It's telling us that we don't have database with the name in server database. So let's create new one. To create database in pgadmin is really easy. Just right click on databases and click create database and just write your name database and just save it. Then your database is ready there. This is empty database and we don't have any table inside. Just refresh it and let's running migration command again. Okay, perfect, there is nothing error. And let's check table migration in Postgre. Refresh tables and now you can see new tables created there. Open table user and you can see table still empty. As you can see, there is nothing data that we have here. Now let's create seeder. This seeder will help us to insert dummy data in table user. Let's type seed generate and give the name of seeder. When it's done, you can see new file created inside folder seeders. There is example code how to add seeder. Just copy the example, set the attributes and model name to our user models. To make it quick, open file gs user in folder models, copy the attributes there and paste in seeder. Set value for them. Set anything value that you want here based on the data type. Then don't forget to change the name model because we need to relate it to the model or table that we want to set data. Consider here we use function bulk insert, so we can add multiple row data. Here we try to insert just 2 row data. Once you're done, let's do running seeder command by type db seed all. Okay, oops, we got an error here. The error telling to us that we are not set value for column created at this column by default set to not null. So we need to set new date value for column created at and updated at. Then do seeder again. Good, everything is perfect. Now let's check table user in Postgre. Refresh table and perfect. We already have 2 row data in table user, but wait, we are not encrypt password yet. So let's do encrypt password using bcrypt package. Declare the variable cons and import model bcrypt and cons salt rounds for 10. And there are 2 ways to encrypt password, asynchronous and asynchronous. Here we will use synchronize method. After that, try to running seeder again. Oops, we get an error. I think there is a typo here. Let's fix that and running again. Okay, perfect. Seeder is success. Let's check the result. That's good. Perfect. Okay, create model and seeder has done. Now we need to create controller and define new function to fetch data user. First, import for the models. Just typing required model, so Nodejs will refer to index file inside that folder, and user model will automatically can be read because file model already included into index file. Now create get function to fetch all data user. To get all data, we don't need to write SQL function, but We just need to type find all, then Sequelize will get all data from table. Yep, this is the benefit of using ORM. We don't need to write SQL syntax. Just call simple code as representation SQL syntax. And here we will return response to client either success or failed. Okay, next we need to routing and index server. Create routes folder and route.js file inside there. This router will be an endpoint for our API. Import user.js in path folder controller. Give endpoint name /user for fetch data with method post and call function get in user.js controller. And now we need to setting our index server to starting project. Let's export package express, body parser, and course, and define express method as app. Implement body parser and course into app variable by using use function. And we define default route with method get and give response as info started. Okay, next we call endpoint already that created in folder routers. Our router will be passing express class, so call the route and pass variable app into there. Now we need to set port listen for this project API and write information into log console. Yep, that's enough. Let's running project by typing index.js in terminal. Okay, perfect. Log already show in terminal. That's mean our project already to run. Okay, now let's jump to browser. Type localhost with port 4001 and you can see there is a response JSON there. Node.js started. It's like what we put here. So we hit default URL. Then this method will return to give information to client. Next, let's try user endpoint. Oops, I think I missed something. This method changed to get stop service and running again. Then refresh browser. Okay, perfect. All user data can be shown in this endpoint. This is a simple method from Sequelize. We just need to call find all to get all data from database. So if you want to know more how to use Sequelize or select data with Sequelize, just check the documentation and there are so many examples there so you can see that. Okay, next we create authentication function. Enter in new line and then write some method for our function in here. We do that what we already did in before. Just copy code from above and we add where condition to find user and password. Let's see documentation. Okay, here where we can use where condition in Sequelize, so we just copy that. Put column object inside where with passing value from request body, email, and password. Next, we need to check password encryptions with synchronized method. Don't forget to give salt. Okay, great. Now we create validation requests for email and password. If null data is passing, then reject request with return error and detailed message. Perfect. Okay, next move to router.ds and add new router as /out. Then give method pause. Okay, stop node service and run again. To test this endpoint, we need to use postman. Choose method pause, write endpoint, and in body panel, give data, email, and password, then click send. Okay, let's just wait a moment. And we can see response that we get in below. We got some response, okay, but data is null. Let's check our code and okay, I'm passing wrong value for password and email. Let's test again. Still got no data. Let's check again. I think the problem is here when the encrypt password. Okay, let's modify delete code here and change this to find one, because we just need to find one data. And over here we will do some validation to check password. We will try to compare data password with a synchronized method. Check if result data callback is true, then return data. And for else, give message failed. Alright, let's do test again. Oops, another error. Okay, let's see what I miss in here. I forgot to delete this. Let's run again and check the result now. Now we get a valid response with return single data, user and password also encrypted. Now we test with incorrect values. Okay, good. Return with response message fail. Okay, perfect. Failed with response incorrect password. And if you check the log in terminal, there is syntax query will show here. It's because Sequelize will telling you when you execute something to database. I think this is nice info for us. We can see detailed query manual here. Okay, this is how we check password for authentication. We use compare method to check value password. Alright, that's all for me. I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching and see you next video.